It started with a red scarf. Not the kind that flutters dramatically in the wind or features in romantic novels. No, this one was simple. Wool, slightly frayed at the edges, and tucked in the back seat of my sister's car, the very car I had never been allowed to drive, even though we technically co-signed for it. I wouldn't have noticed it if the wind hadn't blown it into the driveway while she helped my mother carry groceries. I picked it up out of habit, my fingers tracing the familiar knit pattern. It was mine. A gift from Dad, one of the very few he'd ever given me. I lost it 3 years ago and thought nothing more of it. Yet here it was. In her car. "Hey," I asked, holding it up, "where'd you find this?" Samantha barely looked at it. "Oh, I don't know. Probably from a donation box." "No," I said, more quietly this time. "This was mine. Dad gave it to me when I graduated college." She froze, a can of soup in her hand. Our mother didn't even glance back. "Well, maybe he gave it to me after," Sam said with a shrug, walking past me. That moment felt small, even petty. But something about it sat wrong in my chest. Like the beginning of a splinter working its way deeper into skin. Later that night, I opened my email to check my grad school applications, and found an unread message from 3 weeks ago. "Dear Rachel, we regret to inform you." I blinked. It was a rejection. From a program I never applied to under that email. Confused, I dug through my sent folder, my inbox, even my spam. That's when I found a trail. Submissions. Withdrawals. Changed passwords. All from an IP address that wasn't mine. A chill crept up my spine. There are betrayals you brace for, like a cheating partner or a toxic friend. But when it comes from your own sister, wearing your scarf, using your name, and living a life built on your stolen chances? That's a different kind of wound. And this was just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I sat cross-legged on my bed, laptop open, every application tab flashing like a silent alarm. My heart beat in rhythm with the cursor as I pieced it all together. She hadn't just tampered with one application. She'd accessed them all, using my information, my transcripts, even my writing samples. It was her Gmail address, though, that sealed it, s.lane.academic@gmail.com. S. Lane. Samantha Lane. The same sister who, just months ago, had cried at dinner, claiming she needed time to find herself, who said she wasn't ready for grad school. She didn't need to find herself. She just needed to become me. I stared at the screen, bile rising in my throat. Then I did something I wasn't proud of, I opened her laptop. She often left it at our parents' house. I knew the password. It was Rachel 90. My birth year. I was shaking as I opened her documents folder. My statement of purpose, my exact words, sat under a different title, Samantha_personal_essay_final.docs. She hadn't even changed the phrasing. She had plagiarized my life. I heard the front door creak. Footsteps. My mother's voice. "Rachel? Still up?" I minimized the window. "Yeah. Just finishing something." She stood in the doorway, her robe wrapped tightly around her, arms crossed. "I hope you're not wasting time on those applications again. Maybe you should be more like Samantha. She's practical." That was it. The flicker that ignited the fury. "She stole my applications, Imam." She blinked. "What are you talking about?" "Samantha. She logged into my accounts. Submitted everything under her name. I have proof." My mother sighed. Not gasped. Not even frowned. Just sighed. "Rachel, don't be dramatic. Your sister has had a hard time too, you know? Maybe she was just trying to catch a break." "A break? At my expense?" "Don't raise your voice." I stood slowly. "So you knew?" She didn't answer. But her silence screamed everything I needed to know. I was never the favorite. I just didn't know they'd weaponize that against me. The next morning, I went to the admissions office. Not because I thought they'd fix it immediately. Not because I believed it would be that simple. I went because I needed anyone, to acknowledge the theft. "Do you have an appointment?" the assistant asked as I stepped into the small, sterile office lined with brochures and bright motivational posters. "Yes," I said. "Kind of. I'm Rachel Lane. I applied to the graduate publishing program." She tapped on her keyboard, then smiled politely. "Oh, congratulations on your acceptance, Ms. Lane. Your orientation meeting with Dr. Avery is at noon." I blinked. I wasn't accepted. She tilted her head, confused. "I have a Rachel Lane listed right here. Full scholarship, research assistantship. It says your offer was already acknowledged." I felt the room tilt. Can I see the file?" She hesitated. "Only the applicant can access that, I'm afraid." "But I am the applicant," I said, my voice cracking. She pursed her lips. "I'm sorry, but unless you can verify with the ID we have on file." I knew then. Samantha had shown up in person. Used my name. My history. My wins. All dressed in her charm and someone else's effort. She had taken my life and no one had noticed. Or worse, no one cared. On my way out, I passed the building's glass atrium and stopped cold. There she was. Samantha. Standing in a sunlit hallway, laughing with a professor. A lanyard around her neck. My name on her badge. I froze. My feet wouldn't move. And then, as if she felt me, she turned. Our eyes locked. Her smile faltered just slightly. Just enough. I raised my hand slowly and mouthed one word across the glass. "Thief." She didn't deny it. She just turned back around like nothing had happened. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Instead, I walked for hours, through side streets and past coffee shops I used to study in, past the bookstore where I first dreamed of becoming an editor, past the library steps where I had once imagined my future unfolding like a well-planned chapter. Everywhere I looked, I saw fragments of the life I had worked for. And now, it belonged to someone else. When I finally returned to our parents' house, no, their house, it was late. I unlocked the door quietly, shoes in hand, trying to make it upstairs without waking anyone. But the light in the kitchen was on. My father sat at the table, scrolling on his phone, his glasses perched low on his nose. He didn't look up. "You're late," he said flatly. I went to the admissions office. Nothing. "She stole my identity, Dad. She's going to orientation." As me. He set the phone down. Finally looked at me. "Samantha told us what happened." I waited. "She said you were struggling. That you didn't want to go anymore. That you offered to help her apply." "I what?" "She said it was your idea. That you thought she had a better shot. That it would be our little family secret." I stared at him, stunned. "You believed her?" "She had the paperwork. The ID badge. The acceptance letter. She forged it." He folded his arms. "She's trying. You could stand to be more supportive." That line. That tone. As if I were the one making a scene. I felt something inside me snap. Quietly. Cleanly. It wasn't the scream of betrayal. It was the hush of something breaking beneath the surface. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I whispered. And I walked upstairs without another word. I didn't sleep. Instead, I pulled out an old hard drive from my closet. One I hadn't used in years. I connected it to my laptop, opened a blank folder, and titled it The undoing. Because if they wanted to erase me, they should have known better than to leave me with a pen. The first thing I did was request my credit report. It came back clean, no surprise there. Samantha hadn't used my financials. She didn't need to. She used something far more powerful, my reputation, my history, my work. But while my credit was untouched, my name wasn't. So I filed a report with the university. Not through their public form, but directly to the Office of Academic Integrity. I attached copies of my original essays, time-stamped drafts from my cloud account, and a statement sworn under penalty of perjury. I CC'd the head of the department. And the dean. And just for good measure, the professor Samantha had been laughing within the atrium. It was quiet revenge, not loud. Paper-based. Professional. Precise. Next, I went through my phone. I still had screenshots from our shared Google Drive folder, one where she'd helped me revise my essays. The revision history told the real story. My name on every first draft. Her edits minor, cosmetic, reworded just enough to claim she'd helped. But she hadn't helped. She had stolen. I compiled the evidence like a case file. Labeled folders. Tags. Even screen recordings of her name replacing mine in document metadata. I didn't confront her directly. Not yet. Let the silence grow. Let the email notification hit her inbox while she smiled her fake smile through another class she didn't earn. Let her watch the world shift beneath her, quietly, piece by piece. That weekend, I moved out. Not in rage, not in tears, just calm. I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases and left a note on my old bedroom door. Don't call me when the truth knocks. Just answer. Then I walked out. Past the living room where they'd celebrated her last birthday with a cake I baked. Past the hallway where they hung her award photos and never framed a single one of mine. Past the place I used to stand, waiting for someone to say we're proud of you. I wasn't waiting anymore. I was reclaiming everything. 3 days later, the first message arrived. Not from Samantha. Not from my parents. From Dr. Avery, the professor I'd seen her laughing with. Subject line, clarification needed regarding application identity. The body was brief. Polite. But beneath the academic phrasing, I could feel the unease. After reviewing new documentation submitted to our office, certain inconsistencies have come to our attention regarding your identity and academic history. Please schedule an appointment at your earliest convenience to discuss the matter. It was addressed to Samantha, but sent to my real email, because I had made sure the university knew which one was mine. I imagined her opening that message. Her heart skipping. Her breath catching. I didn't smile. Not yet. Not until it was finished. Later that evening, I got a call from my mother. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask why I moved out. She launched right in. Rachel, what did you do? Samantha is in tears. She said someone hacked the admissions office and sent lies about her. Did you say something to them? Lies. My mother still believed the thief before she believed me. I sent the truth, I said, voice steady. You've always been jealous, she snapped. Samantha is finally doing something with her life and you can't stand it. I laughed softly, not out of amusement, but because the final layer of illusion had peeled off. I'm not jealous, Mom. I'm just done being quiet. You'll regret this, she said, her voice trembling with fury. You're ruining your sister's future. No, I said. She did that the moment she decided mine didn't matter. And then I hung up. The phone buzzed again, and I let it go to voicemail. Then I opened my laptop and typed one more email, this time to the scholarship board. Because Samantha hadn't just stolen my place. She had cashed the check written in my name. The scholarship board responded faster than I expected. Within 48 hours, I received a curt but pointed message. We are investigating a potential misrepresentation of identity connected to our awarded fellowship. Thank you for your detailed submission. We take these claims seriously and will be in contact. I didn't need a front row seat to know what was happening behind the scenes. Institutions might move slowly, but money moves fast, especially when it's been given under false pretenses. That afternoon, Samantha called me. Not texted. Not messaged through social media. She called. I let it ring once. Twice. Then answered. She didn't start with an apology. You need to fix this, she said sharply, as if I'd broken her toy and she was waiting for me to glue it back together. Fix what? I asked calmly. You told the scholarship board. They froze my funding. I can't register for classes. They're talking about disciplinary action. Do you even understand what you've done? Oh, I said. I understand perfectly. There was a pause on the other end. Then her voice cracked, just slightly. You don't get it, Rachel. I didn't have a choice. I knew they'd never pick me. I thought if I could just start, maybe I could prove I belonged. You proved something, I said. But not what you think. You're my sister. Her voice pitched upward, desperate now. You don't do this to family. You're right, I said, voice steady. But family doesn't steal years of work and call it ambition. I hung up before she could respond. No tears. No trembling hands. Just silence. And somewhere in that silence, I realized I didn't feel betrayed anymore. I felt clear. Because this wasn't revenge. It was restoration. And I was just getting started. The next time I walked onto campus, it wasn't as a visitor. It wasn't as a shadow of someone else's success. It was with an official invitation from the university's ethics board. Not for a hearing, but for a meeting. A private, closed-door session to provide final clarification as part of their review. When I stepped into the administrative wing, the receptionist greeted me with a cautious smile. They're waiting for you. As I walked down the hallway, the echo of my own footsteps followed me. Confident. Solid. Unafraid. Inside the room sat 3 faculty members and the university's legal liaison. A folder with my name rested on the table. The real one. They didn't ask me to prove who I was. They already knew. Instead, they asked me how it happened. And for the first time, I told them everything, from the application theft to the impersonation, from the forged badge to the silence that followed. They took notes. Nodded. Occasionally exchanged glances that told me more than words ever could. When I finished, the head of the board leaned forward and said, "Thank you, Mississippi Lane. What you've shared aligns with our findings. We'll be taking swift action." As I left the room, a young woman passed me in the hallway, tear-streaked, pale, shoulders folded in. Samantha. She avoided my gaze. Her mouth opened like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. For a moment, I saw the girl I used to play dolls with. The one who shared my bed when storms scared her. The one I once called my best friend. But that girl didn't steal my name. She didn't lie with my voice. This one did. So I kept walking. Not because I was cruel. Because I was finished. 2 days later, the university issued an official notice. Samantha Lane, expelled for academic dishonesty and fraudulent identity representation. The statement didn't mention my name. It didn't need to. Everyone who knew, knew. Word spread fast in the way only academic circles can. Quiet whispers behind doors. Side glances in hallways. Professors suddenly remembering who had actually earned her place. I received a letter from the scholarship board as well. They had rescinded Samantha's funding and, after reviewing the evidence, offered it to me in full, along with a written apology for the oversight. I declined. Not out of pride, but because I had found something more valuable than the money. I had found my voice. That evening, my father showed up at my apartment. No call. No text. Just stood at the door holding a worn manila envelope and a face he hadn't worn in years, one not of judgment, but uncertainty. "Can I come in?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. I studied him. The lines around his eyes. The slump in his shoulders. "Why now?" I asked softly. He looked down. Because I didn't know how blind I was. Until it cost me both my daughters. I opened the door. Let him in. He sat at the edge of the couch like a guest in a stranger's home. Quiet. Smaller than I remembered. The envelope was slid across the table. Inside, every card I'd ever given him. Every note. Every certificate. Even the glitter-covered drawing from 3rd grade that read "Me and Dad, best team." "I kept them," he said. I just didn't know how to say it. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was something. A start. We sat in silence for a long time. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel empty. It felt real. 6 months passed. The air turned crisp, the leaves burned amber, and I found myself walking through the same campus quad, this time, as a guest lecturer. Not for publishing. Not for anything Samantha had stolen. But for something I'd quietly built in the aftermath, a non-profit workshop for first-generation college applicants, helping them protect their work, their identity, their future. The invitation came from Dr. Avery himself. After the seminar, a girl approached me. Nervous. Hopeful. She held a worn folder full of essays and recommendations. "Your story," she said, "it made me feel like I still have a chance." I smiled gently. "You don't need a chance. You just need the truth. And a voice strong enough to tell it." That night, I passed by the admissions office one last time. Just for me. I stood in front of the glass atrium, where I once watched Samantha wear my name like a coat she never earned. But the reflection staring back now wasn't hers. It was mine. Whole. Unbroken. I reached into my bag and pulled out a red scarf, frayed, soft, mine. I tied it around my neck like a banner. Not of war, but of survival. And as I walked away, I didn't look back. Because I wasn't reclaiming what she stole anymore. I had written something new. Something only I could.